We all know that the state Senate, Representative Gorsuch, has ordered an audit of TriMet administrative procedures. We all know that it's unlikely that they'll find any kind of fraud, although I wish somebody could take a look at those MLR contracts with a microscope, because we've all seen them handing out millions and millions and millions with very little discussion, absolutely no discussion, and change orders in 30, 40, 50, $100 million change orders with no discussion. So we really have a question about how that money's going, but we don't think they're going to find much in the way of fraudulent activity at TriMet itself. I mean, when I worked at TriMet, I never saw any evidence of fraudulent activity. That's one thing good I'll say about them. Is never noticed any of that kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot of cronyism and stuff like that, but when it came to financial stuff, I never noticed anything unusual. But what we're going to talk about here is the issue of transparency, because this is what really needs to be audited. And before we discuss this issue, I want to look at this clip of the Board of Directors of 1 year ago today when they adopt their budget goals.
But in essence, the board mandates the things that we felt important for this fiscal year were, first off, the low-income mitigation strategies. Convention pass, we just said that we really are counting on implementation of the Convention pass program with Metro, Travel Portland, and the City of Portland and Multnomah County to help mitigate the effects that the elimination of the free rail zone may have on the local economy and the region's ability to attract convention activity. I understand that is ongoing and we're getting close to getting that done. So I don't think that was one that anybody had any discussion or concerns about when we move forward. The third one is one that's very important and very timely. It has to do with the Portland Public School Youth Pass program. The language in here says adopt a plan that requires equitable cost sharing among the partners. That means the City of Portland, Portland Public Schools, and TriMet. And it goes on to say TriMet cannot provide the funding to sustain this program alone. All right, well, I'm going to move on then. The next ones are fairly routine. Transfer printers, we're saying we want to move forward on those. The lift boundaries, we want to align the lift boundaries with the fixed route system, which I didn't hear anybody dissenting or discussion on that. Fair policy, recommending a fair policy that really does appropriately serve riders, marketplace, and trends. And this gets back to some of our overall desires as a board to look at our financial future and our strategic plan for financing. Number 7 was honored citizens. Recommend an honored citizen fare that reflects current industry pricing. There was a lot of discussion that this is one we need to revisit and be ready for the next fiscal year's budget. Ridership data, we said we would like to have some more ridership information upon which to make better decisions. Number 9 was labor contract. We really want as a board to engage in contract negotiations and labor agreements that support the goal articulated by the board to, quote, bring TriMet's health care and post-employment benefits in line with a sustainable forecast of future revenues, end quote. I don't know whether we want to discuss that, but I think that was fairly well agreed upon by everybody on the board. Additional revenue generating ideas, we have a lot of those ideas brought forward in the budget process, and we're just saying we want to identify viable new revenue generating possibilities. In fact, the general manager and I had some discussions over a cup of coffee this morning about some things that we might want to look at in the future. Portland streetcar, a lot of testimony about the Portland streetcar, and what we're saying here is we need to reach an agreement with formal agreement, I guess is what I would say almost there, with the Portland streetcar that clarifies roles and responsibilities related to operation expansion and financial responsibilities. That's something we need to do. I think the language is fine, and folks, just stop me if you're not comfortable with any of this. On the LIFT program, we're going to have a discussion about that today. It says except the staff analysis, there will be no long-term savings. We're trying to jump ahead there, so maybe we should consider that and then adopt. So why don't I change the word from accept to consider and take action or something like that on staff analysis, since we're going to hear about that in just a moment. The financial strategic plan was part of our overall retreat, that we need to create a plan that outlines the next steps in addressing TriMet's 2 basic structural financial problems, labor costs and diversification of revenues. All of us understand that and agree with that. Capital projects, as a result of testimony and just our financial situation, we said we need to commit to review the construction and operation of all major capital projects along with the operational of financially supported, effective, and safe existing transportation services. In other words, not sacrifice existing services for the system expansions. And then finally, which I think is the thing that we all want to do, is partnerships, as we work in partnerships with everyone to provide a transit service that appropriately serves the region residents, economy, and livability. And I think Dr. Bethel is the one who actually wrote the language that's here from what I retrieved. So, any further discussion on the board statement on the budget? So with that, then, I would ask if there's a motion to adopt this budget statement from the TriMet board.
So moved. Second.
And that's with the changes as presented by Director Crossett. Okay.
And Rousseau.
Oh, yes, thank you, Rousseau. Thank you very much. So we have two minor amendments to the statement as drafted. So with that, all those in favor of adopting the budget statement, so signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you. All opposed? Hearing none, this motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, you all heard it for yourselves. What did you hear when you heard that? You heard them talk about benefits. You heard them talk about the school pass. You heard them decide to give free passes to all the conventioneers, all the businessmen. It's 23rd Avenue. You heard them decide they're going to give free passes to all the high ticket conventioneers who have their conventions in this city. They're going to give free passes because we got to take care of them, of course. And you didn't. And what did you not hear? You did not hear a word about raises to the executives. Not one word. All of those board members, and they voted unanimously. It was a unanimous vote to accept those principles. Knew at the time they voted that those raises were part of that budget. They knew that. They conspired with McFarland to hide those raises. As far as I'm concerned, that's a criminal conspiracy. Okay, it's a criminal conspiracy to know facts about your budget that they're telling the public and not divulging those facts at the time they're talking about this information. It's a criminal conspiracy. Now, it's very unlikely you're going to ever see anything criminal come out of this because they control the wheels. These people control all the wheels of government. We can't do anything about them because we don't control the wheels of government. All the wheels of government are intertwined. This is a problem with the state doing the audit. This was the problem with ODOT doing the audit when the union complained because they're all part of the same ball of wax. They're all the same people. Okay, they might not be in the same departments, but these people know each other. They've worked together for years. McFarland's been around for years. He knows all these people. There's no doubt in my mind that that was a criminal conspiracy to withhold the raises. And I think that those people need to be, and I think John Charles said it himself. He didn't say it for that, but he said the fact that they allowed $1 billion of unfunded liability to occur is criminal. I think that's also criminal. They knew what they were doing. They had two separate philosophies, one for management, one for union, criminal stuff. Now, when they're going to conduct this audit, the thing to look at is the transparency issue. Let's look all the way back. Let's go all the way back to the yellow line crash, where all of this ball of wax, and the amount of effort they put in to hiding the details on that yellow line crash. They wouldn't review. First, they lied about the video. They said it didn't exist, and then of course it was out there, and they continued to conspire to cover up the yellow line crash. Then there was the hours of service investigation by Joseph Rose. And you remember that, right? They did everything they could to obstruct his story. They did everything they could to stop it. And when they did release the information, they put it in unreadable statistics and figures, so they had to translate all that information into a readable form. Intentionally obstructing an investigation of the press. That's criminal in nature. Criminal in nature. And now we see them with this. This is the coup de grace, as far as I'm concerned. It dwarfs all the other criminal stuff they've done in hiding raises for themselves in a budget and having to be found out months later. How do you get away with this? This is what the transparency audit has to be focused on. the process involved with covering up for the yellow line crest, the process involved with covering up for the hours of service investigation, and all of the information about those raises need to come out. We need to know who knew about it, when they knew about it, and who was the one that decided they weren't going to tell anybody. And those people have to be prosecuted, as far as I'm concerned.